Dave, have you been watching anything?
Do you know what I've been watching? Spooks.
That's the BBC one, isn't it? Is it about
2002, and I've never ever seen
Are
it.
these spies?
Yeah, it's basically like the UK version of like 24.
Okay.
But do you know who's in it? Matthew McFadden's in it. Keely Hawes is in it, and in the first...
Keely Hawes, that's right.
David Oyelowo's in it.
Because about the same time she did... what's the one she did? Life on Mars? Or was it?
She did Ashes to Ashes.
Ashes to Ashes. She was a big star at the band at that time.
Well, they're married, aren't they, her and Matthew McFadden?
Are they?
I think that's what they met on. They met on
I
Spooks.
didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's like over 20 years old. It's just one of those shows I never seen, and we were just kind of flicking, and it was on BBC iPlayer. And I was like, that's Matthew McFadden, and he looks about 12 years old. Obviously from Succession. But yeah, I've been watching it. It's really good. I've enjoyed it. It is a little bit cheesy, but it's definitely worth a watch. Kenny has signed up for... Have you seen that Letterbox?
Oh, yes.
Like an app where you can record like what you've been watching and stuff. So he's been filling that in with the stuff we've been watching, and he's been leaving reviews and stuff about the box sets as well.
Oh, that's cool. Joe, speaking of reviews, I've had 2 random emails. First one, and I wanted to ask you, is I got an email off Disney Plus this morning asking me to join the stream team. And I've got to take this quick questionnaire. You subscribe to Disney Plus? So does it sound familiar to you?
I haven't got the email. I'll have to
it just
check,
said
it's on my Google one, I think.
The select people have been asked. I have no idea. I googled it. I went Disney stream team. There's nothing. I couldn't find anything about it.
So you've been scammed.
Well, I don't know. I was a bit like...
It does sound a bit dodgy.
But if not, have I been hand selected by Disney Plus because they've looked at my viewing history? Well, it's a bit weird. Literally, like I've been watching Modern Family for months now. Like,
that's just like Star Wars cartoons and Marvel movies, so maybe that's why I didn't get picked.
Having said that, actually, I think I've got quite a good mix of stuff on Disney. But anyway, the other one was when we did last week's podcast on Lethal Weapon, I rented it off Amazon. The way you pay a couple of quid and rent it. And a couple of days later, I got an email off Amazon saying, hope your purchase was okay. Would you like to leave a review? I was like, well, Mr. Amazon, I can do one better than a review. How about a podcast? Hello and welcome to Watch It If You Can. My name is Liam.
My name's Dave.
This podcast is all about box sets we've created of our favourite films and TV shows. Some you've seen, some you haven't, and others you may never want to watch. However, we can say, if you've never seen The Goonies, I love you, chunk. All we want to do is chat on about these films and TV shows we love so dearly and maybe, just maybe, watch it if you can. Dave,
Liam,
how are you?
I'm good. I'm all right.
And we're back. And this week's theme is...
It's animated.
And this week's choice is...
It's the Simpsons movie for me.
Woohoo! Oh, I should have gone... I battled it. I should have went full on. Woohoo! But I was like, no, too late. I've missed it now.
I was going to do the Simpsons TV show, wasn't I? I think I sent you a list of about sort of 5 episodes because I thought
which we have seen, but it's been a while.
Yeah, probably not up to date because there's obviously there's too many to talk about. So I ended up switching it and went with the movie. So the movie came out in July 2007. If you don't know, it's based on a long-running animated sitcom. The film does star all the regular cast members for an 87-minute movie. And The Simpsons itself, first full episode aired in December 1989 when we were only 10 years old.
We were, yeah.
So we had to wait a full 18 years before we got a movie. It's currently due to start season 35 in October and is renewed until 2025 already. The movie then itself, the plot is Homer pollutes the lake in Springfield so badly that the Environmental Protection Agency imprisoned the town under a huge glass dome. Everyone rightly blames Homer, and he and the rest of the family have to escape to Canada. But as soon as they find out the plan to destroy Springfield, they do return and they do try and save it.
Oh, brilliant. It's a great film. It's actually one of the few films I have rewatched a few times because we've had this discussion before. We never went to pictures to watch it.
The movie, no, I would have took Robert, I think, at the time in 2007.
Yeah, I don't remember going to pictures. I didn't see it on the pictures, but I did see it when it came out, and I did rewatch it again only a couple of years ago, and obviously rewatched it again the other night. So yeah, it's a great film. Love it. Apart from choosing it because it was easier than doing a whole 33 series of Simpsons, why did you choose Simpsons the movie?
Well, we noticed a theme running through the box sets, haven't we? So yours has been friendship, hasn't it?
Yes.
And mine was originally around people having to make tough decisions, which sort of happens in this movie.
Yeah, no, it is, yeah.
But I think for box set 3, for me, apart from Predator, which is going to be one of the episodes I've picked, my picks are all, I think, anyway, unappreciated or forgotten about titles.
Definitely.
You know, we had Super Bob the other week, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I think the Simpsons movie sort of falls into both categories because it is great, but I just don't think it's never really talked about. It never really seems to be on. And we've obviously never had another big screen version. So the reviews were positive, and we'll talk about the box office later, but is it just me? Is it just me that thinks it's an underappreciated, sort of forgotten about movie, or do you agree with that?
It's a weird one because when we come to the box office, it was a hell of a hit. But you're right, it is forgotten about a little bit. I don't know if it's just lost amongst hundreds of hours of Simpsons episodes. I don't know, but I think you're right. I would say it's a slightly underappreciated film as a film.
Yeah, I think so, because obviously Pixar dominates, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And we were talking about Aardman animation earlier before the show, and I think those movies always get, when you talk about like the top 10 lists, they always pop up, don't they? I just think, for me anyway, the movie's slightly unappreciated, I think.
Well, it's good you say the top 10 animated films because you may be in for a little bit of surprise later.
Okay.
Okay then, so let's go with the next question. As always, who is in the Simpsons movie?
So I'm going to do it slightly different. I'm going to go through the cast and I'm going to go through who they play.
Yeah, because they do multiple characters, don't they? Yeah.
So Dan Castellaneta is Homer, he's Abe, he's Krusty, he's Groundskeeper Willie, he's Mayor Quimby, he's Sideshow Mel, he's Mr. Teeny, one of the EPA officials in the movie, he's Itchy, and he's Barney. Julie Kavner is Marge, Selma and Patty. We've got Nancy Cartwright, who plays Bart, she plays Ralph, she plays Todd and Nelson Muntz. Yeardley Smith just plays Lisa Simpson, but does it brilliantly.
She does, yeah.
Hank Azaria plays Loads. He's Mo, he's Chief Wiggum, he's Cletus, he's Professor Spink, he's Apu, he's the comic book guy, Captain McAllister, Bumblebee Man and Dr. Nick.
He is the man of the voices, isn't he?
Unbelievable. Harry Shearer, again, he competes with him. Mr. Burns, Smithers, Ned Flanders, Reverend Lovejoy, Lenny. He plays President Arnold in the movie. Seymour Skinner, Ken Brockman, Dr. Hibbert and Otto Mann. Then we've got Pamela Hayden as Millhouse, Rob Flanders and Jimbo Jones. We've got Trez McNeil, who is the medicine woman in the movie. Agnes Skinner, Crazy Crap Lady. She plays Colin, who's the Irish kid.
Who's Bono's not his dad.
Bono's not his dad. And Cookie Kwan. We got John Montagna, I'm just going to mention because he plays Fat Tony and he's brilliant.
Yeah.
And then we just got a couple of stars that pop up. We got Albert Brooks, who plays Russ Cargill. And then we got Tom Hanks, just playing Tom Hanks.
So who plays Ned Flanders?
So Ned is Harry Shearer.
Harry Shearer. Now, it suddenly dawned on me when I was watching it the other night is Ted Lasso based on Ned Flanders?
Yeah, there's an element to it, and I think I've heard Jason Sudeikis hint to that as well.
Definitely.
That nice guy image.
Do you know which scene it was where he makes Bart the hot chocolate? And I was like, that's Ted.
Yeah.
Remember the tea and the cakes? The way he does it. I'm just going to leave that there. And if you don't want it, you want to remember when.
And there's the moustache, obviously.
Obviously, the moustache.
I'm sure they're chasing.
I was watching it like Ted Lasso, Ned Flanders. I don't know.
Positive, isn't it?
Yeah, I just sort of bounced him. I was like, oh my God, Ted is Ned. Ned is Ted.
So you're going to talk about what some of these stars are in?
Yeah, I went through a bit of a deep dive. Every now and again, I'm going to deep dive on IMDb. I was busy today. So.
We love an IMDb deep dive, don't we?
Dan Castellaneta he was in K9. We mentioned that last week.
With James Belushi.
Yes.
I love that film.
Yeah, cracking film. He was also in, now this passed me by, early 90s, a Back to the Future animated series. Ring any bells?
No, not at all.
One of the main directors on that series was Peyton Reed, who went on to do Ant-Man.
Yeah.
And I was like 2 whole series of Back to the Future.
2 series?
2 series, yes. So
do you know what year?
I think it was around 90 to 92, 93.
Or maybe it just wasn't on here.
It may be. But 2 series, which surprised me, because it's Back to the Future.
I do remember cartoons of like Rambo.
Yes.
And Mr. T and other stuff like that, but generally don't.
Yeah.
I mean, a Back to the Future cartoon is essentially Rick and Morty, isn't it?
Well, yes. But also, what else has he been in? I'm just going to reel off some of these guest appearances from Dan. Dan is the man. Wings, Friends, Everybody Loved Raymond, Frasier, Arrested Development, Entourage, How I Met Your Mother, The Office. That's some body of work. And also, my favourite, he played Derry Marbles on Parks and Rec, the radio host. He had that really terrible radio.
I've got Parks and Rec as well. Reno 911, which you still haven't watched.
Yeah,
he's in now as well, isn't he?
And I'm like, that man has done some TV over the years, in between about 8,000 episodes of Simpsons as well. Like, I was looking down for Julie Kavner. A couple of films she did back in the day. She did the Woody Allen film Deconstructing Carrie, which was quite a good film. She's in that. And also, she's the main female lead in Awakenings with Robin Williams and Robert De Niro.
That's a great film. I haven't seen that for a long time now.
Absolutely brilliant. Like she's the main female lead in that, which passed me by. It was her. Nancy Cartwright, who obviously played Bart. She was in 24. She played Chucky in Rugrats. If you remember Rugrats. She also... Now, this is one I picked out to try and pick out and watch. She was in an animated series called God, the Devil and Bob that also starred Alan Cummins, the Scottish actor, Laurie Metcalf from Roseanne, and French Stewart from Bird Rock from the Sun.
It does ring a bell, yeah.
So
Alan Cummins.
There was only 13 episodes of it. So I'm definitely going to see if we can dig that out. And also Nancy Cartwright, she'd been in an episode of Cheers.
I got Cheers. She was in an episode of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, apparently. But also she's in, and you might mention this film again, she was in Godzilla.
Yes.
1998.
Was that the original one? Because I've lost...
It's the Matthew Broderick one.
I've never watched any Godzilla ones, but there's a few knocking around.
It was the first sort of like... well, I'm going to say American one, because obviously there's loads of Japanese versions, but she's in that, and so is the other cast.
Yes, yeah. I haven't picked any of them ones because I've never seen Godzilla,
right.
Hence why
I'll point them ones out as we go along then.
Who else have I got? I've got Yeardley Smith, who played Lisa. Such a distinctive voice. Yeah. She's unmistakably yes. She's been in an episode of Mad Men, an episode of Big Bang Theory. She was also in Dharma and Greg. I used to really like that back in the day. Used to be on Comedy Central. But before Simpsons, she was in a sitcom called Herman's Head. Do you remember that?
No.
Where it was this guy, and he had these 4 voices in his head that guided all his decisions, and she was one of them. And Hank Azaria was also one of the others. It was went on about 4 or 5 seasons.
No,
I vaguely remember it used to be on like Channel 4 or something like that, Herman's Head. And she's also in City Slickers, which I'd forgotten about.
It's a great movie, isn't it?
It's a great movie. Right, so Hank Azaria then. Oh my God. Like, I think he's got the best body of work of everyone here. So I'm not even going to go down a list because it's just something else. Apart from Herman's Head, the one I picked out is Heat. and he's fantastic in Heat.
It's probably one of the most famous scenes in there with Pacino.
Yeah.
Going over the top.
Yeah.
Over the top. He is in Grosse Point Blank as well.
He is in Grosse Point Blank, yeah.
Yeah.
But the other one I've got on, which is, have you seen Brockmire? The new one he's done where he's the sports host.
No, I haven't. I've heard him talking about it because I've heard him on podcasts.
I watched the first 2 series, I think it was during lockdown. Brilliant. At the time I couldn't get hold of the other series, so I'm going to come back and revisit, but it is really good. That is definitely worth watching. I've still got a few left on the list, like Harry Shearer. I think he's in that.
Just before you do Harry Shearer, Hank Azaria, he's in Godzilla as well.
Is he in Godzilla?
He plays a cameraman in it, but he was also David in Friends.
He was.
That was a great part as well. It's only a small role, isn't it? And
he had he came back a couple of times, didn't he?
Yeah, he loses out to Paul Rudd in the end.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth mentioning Friends because he's great in that as well.
He is brilliant. Harry Shearer, obviously Spinal Tap, which we mentioned last week. But also, he's in Wayne's World 2. He plays Handsome Dan. He's brilliant in that. And I have not seen this since it came out. The Fisher King, another Robin Williams film, and Jeff Bridges.
I haven't seen it since the cinema, to be honest.
Yeah, and I was like, I hadn't realised he was in it, because one of them films, so I definitely want to rewatch that.
And The Truman Show as well.
Yes, he's in The Truman Show. Now, next up is Albert Brooks. My God, he's got some films. He was in Taxi Driver, Martin Scorsese, Robert De Niro. He's in Out of Sight, one of our previous episodes. He's in a few episodes of Weeds. Did you ever watch Weeds?
I never watched Weeds.
No. I absolutely loved it. The guy went on to he did Weeds and then went on and did Orange is the New Black. So it's the same creator. But Weeds is brilliant. He's also in This Is 40, which has got so many links to so many of our previous episodes, especially Bridesmaids. And also, did you know who his brother is? Or do you know who his brother is?
Is it Mel Brooks?
No.
I was just guessing there by saying
yeah. No, his surname is Einstein. So his brother is Bob Einstein, otherwise known as Marty Funkhouse from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're brothers. But he changed his name.
Oh, he passed away, didn't he?
Yeah.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant in Curb, isn't he?
Absolute genius. But yeah, no, I was like, I just
never realised that.
And he's got another half brother who's another actor or something as well. I can't remember his name. A couple of things, but literally my list was just. I've still got more on the list.
I've got a couple, which is just. Have you ever seen Defending Your Life?
No.
You need to watch that. That's really good. It's about kind of like it's not purgatory, but it's before you go to heaven. You kind of get put in like a bit of a court and shown clips of your life, and so it's really good. And then he's Marlon. He's the dad in Finding Nemo, isn't he?
Yes, and Finding Dory as well.
Yeah.
Next on my list is Maggie Roswell, who voiced Helen Lovejoy. And it only popped this one out because you mentioned this film last week. She's in Switchback with Danny Glover. Oh,
right. It's a bit of a callback there.
Yeah. You mentioned that one.
I like the fact that all our vote for Tom Hanks is Everything We Love. I thought there's no point doing another list of Tom Hanks films, is there?
No, and one last one. Russie Taylor, who voiced Martin, who I think is a fantastic character in Simpsons. Just because it's slightly interesting, she's been voicing Minnie Mouse for Disney for about 20 odd years now. And she did Huey and Dewey from the DuckTales.
Oh, really?
The original DuckTales series.
Brilliant. But I've just got one more, only because I wanted to mention Fat Tony, but Joe Mantegna has been in Criminal Minds, hasn't he?
Yes.
For years and years. But you did a proper deep dive there. That was a proper IMDb. The steam must have been coming off the IMDb app.
Well, went on my iPad, so it was like. So I've got smudges all over my iPad, and I've gone backwards and forwards. Yeah, no, I actually quite enjoyed going. It's nice trying to pick out a couple of links here and there and stuff
we haven't seen as well. It's what I always find interesting.
That's what I love, and I'm definitely going to go and try and dig out that God, the Devil and Bob. That's
Defending Your Life. I think you'll like.
Okay. Put that on me multiple list of growing shows and films and stuff. Just
for when we retire.
Yeah, just when we've got a podcast about it, isn't it? There's who's in it and what else they've done. So Dave, out of all of them, who's your favourite character?
I've gone with Homer.
Yeah. Did you play that card? Boo.
You can boo. You can boo me because it's the obvious one.
But
I think you know what it is. I think we've had this conversation before, and it's an age thing again. Because last week I chose Murtaugh over Riggs, and I think you tend to go towards the characters that you most relate to. So to say that I relate to Homer is quite funny. But I'd say when I started watching The Simpsons, it was Bart.
Yeah.
It would have been at the time.
Well, he was the breakout star, wasn't he? But quickly, in the history of Simpsons, it quickly became Homer.
I think as you get older as well, you see things from that different perspective. So you see that Bart is a nightmare when you're older, and Homer is doing his best. But the flip side to that is you see exactly where Bart gets all his worst traits from as well. Yeah. So Homer's just, he's one of the most recognisable characters on the planet. Dan Castellaneta obviously does an amazing job with Homer. It's not just the dialogue though, I think. Obviously Doe. Yeah. It's just known well wide. It's all those noises that, when he's getting a hit and stuff like that. So it's not even just the dialogue that's so good about Homer. It's just the sounds. But I think in the film, you shouldn't really like him because he's being his usual selfish, lazy self. He causes the dome to be put on, doesn't he? He upsets the family. He's the one that doesn't want to go back and save everyone. But then obviously he does become the hero as kind of him and Bart, stop the town from being blown up. But yeah, you can boo me. It's definitely, it's Homer for me. Did you pick the same?
I knew you were going to go with Homer, so I went with Marge because she is the heart of this film. And it links in with my favourite moments, which is the next question. But yeah, I just think when you watch this film, it's a great performance by Julie Kavner because she is really the heart and soul of this film, and she anchors Homer's craziness, if that makes sense. So I think they're both. I think the film is about them too. I think Bart and Lisa are slightly sidelined a little bit in it. So
I'd agree with that.
And really, a lot of the other characters have only just got they just try and cram a lot in. So you couldn't really pick enough camera. This film is about Homer and Marge. So with that, I absolutely love it. So that brings the question is, what is out of this film? Because it's literally just sketch after sketch after sketch. What's your favourite scene in the film, Dave?
I've done some honourable mentions.
Okay, let's go. We'll do both our honourables first. Okay. Go on, you go.
So the ones I picked are the ones that I remember in the cinema getting the biggest laughs.
Yes.
Because I do remember going to see it. And I think Ralph doing the 20th Century Fox opening titles. As soon as that come on, I remember the whole kind of the theatre just laughing already. So you were like, I'm in good hands here. This is so silly already. Is da 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 da. I think right after that as well is Homer at the theatre and he's saying only suckers would pay to see something they would get for free at home.
It's absolutely.
And I remember everyone laughing at that as well. Another one is obviously Bart on the skateboard naked. It's done like that Austin Powers type scene, isn't it, where everything's covered, you don't see anything, but then he goes past the bush and you do see his yellow dangly bits.
His noodle.
And I think that probably got the biggest laugh of the whole film because I don't think anyone was expecting that.
They did it so well of hiding it, and then it goes through the side, and you can see everything because you go, and you see nothing but his doodle. It's absolutely. I'll be honest with you, that was one of my honourables as well. That one bit. My other bit is, and it's just a quick. It's when the mob descend on the house, and the camera pans down through the crowd. Oh, I think that's beautifully done. It's absolutely, I just love that bit. And also the Easter egg of the canyon jump.
From the callback to the previous episode.
Yeah. Well,
is that the first? It was one that, maybe?
To me, because what we're talking about is, I don't know if it was it might have been, I don't know if it was the first series or 2 or 3. It was quite, but it was the moment which I think Homer cements himself in public consciousness, because if you don't remember the scene, he tries to jump a canyon, doesn't do it, and falls all the way down to the bottom. An ambulance comes and picks him up. He falls back out the ambulance. But in the film, as they go past it, the ambulance is still there, isn't it? Have you noticed?
Oh, I never noticed.
Watch it, because I think they bounce back up off the catapult, and as he whizzes back, the ambulance is still there, and it's just absolutely genius.
I do like your honourables. Have you got a favourite one before I do mine?
And I'm going with the bit that whenever I think of this film, it's the first scene that pops into my mind, and it's Marge's video to Homer when she leaves him.
Oh.
I just think, and this is what I said to you when I said to my favourite character, Marge, the heart and all. I just think it was so well done, and it was almost heartbreaking. And she went, and to prove to myself that it's over, recorded over the wedding video, gets me every time.
Yeah,
I just think
it cuts, doesn't it?
Yeah,
like the actual video.
I just think it's such a brilliant moment. Incidentally, the director made Julie Kavanaugh record that scene over 100 times to get
really?
what they wanted, and I'm like, that's some dedication there. But so, what about yourself, then, Dave? What about your favourite scene?
So it's Homer with Plopper the pig.
Yes,
also known as Harry Plopper. It's just the scene where he's doing Spider Pig. That's just my favourite scene, but it probably leads into the next question, to be honest.
Well, which is, Dave, what about music or song from the film?
So it's Spider Pig. So did you know that Hans Zimmer wrote a version of the song as a joke? One of the producers heard it, and then they asked why it wasn't in the film. So it's actually added in a couple of times, including the post-credits. Is
this the choral version with the choir?
Yes.
But I wrote that down, yeah.
So if you don't know the lyrics, it's Spider Pig does whatever a spider pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out. He is a spider pig. And every time, it doesn't matter how many times I've seen that clip or with the film, I think it's just it's the funniest bit, and I think it sold the movie on the trailers and stuff. I think it did,
and the fact it's Hans Zimmer as well, you could tell he was having fun making it. The only thing I got about it, do you know they actually released and got to 34 in the UK chart, that version?
You're joking?
No,
that's amazing.
People actually bought it. But there you go. On to the question, which I still think is probably my favourite question when we do this, is what would you change?
So, deep sigh here, because I do love the film and love The Simpsons and everything, but I think in terms of scale for a movie, it's not that big.
Yeah.
And I know we do talk about these things, and we do say sometimes bigger isn't always better, but it just did feel like a little bit of an extra long episode, when normally something that goes to a movie, you do try and make it a bit bigger and better, and there is some big set pieces, in terms of the end with Homer and Bart on the bike. I just think it doesn't quite reach the scale of a big screen movie. Do you agree, or again, is that just me?
No, I get it, and that sort of ties in, because what I mentioned before, one of the things I put down is that Bart and Lisa were pretty much completely sidelined in the film as well.
Well, to be honest, that's my next point. I think there's a few characters that don't get a lot of screen time. They're obviously the main ones, but Krusty, Moe, Nelson, they're quite short-changed.
Yeah.
I don't think you needed Colin, the Amish boy.
No, there were so many other characters that are readily available to them. Why they went, apart from the Bono joke, which is funny.
So they're my two things, really. I think bigger in scale, and then you could have added in more characters, because it is like, I like the fact that it's under 90 minutes, but I don't think you could release a movie under 90 minutes now, because movies cost more to see.
Yes.
And I think people do want at least a 2-hour movie, don't they? You want to get out the house for at least 2 hours. 3 hours, unless it's an Oppenheimer, most people aren't going to do it. But yeah, they're mine. So did you have anything?
Only what I mentioned about Bart and Lisa and other characters. The other points, and it links in with my favourite moment and my favourite character, Marge, and that's Marge. I think there were more moments where they could have gone big on the sentiment in this, because that's another thing that where TV sitcoms have gone, movies, they've gone big, but there's them emotions are there as well. I think comedy and sentiment work so well together. So I was like, and I'd only really sat there last night watching it because I picked my favourite moment. I think there's a couple of moments with Ned and Bart which are quite touching.
What you could have done was you could have seen more of the characters knowing that the town was going to get destroyed.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more of them and some of their little stories.
What's Homer's two friends in the bar?
Kenny and Lenny and Carl.
Lenny and Carl. There was so much there, like you know what I mean? What?
Mo's barely in the movie, to be honest. And like I say, I understand you've got to focus on, because everyone's there to see the Simpsons, aren't they? Everyone's there to focus on the family, but I just think you did shortchange a of the characters that everyone loves.
Okay, then, moving on from what you would change, the next question we always ask is, what about impact? The impact of the film had an impact on you?
So it was a huge hit, 526 million at the box office.
It's a big hit.
That's almost sort of Marvel numbers, isn't it?
And I think it was about 100 million to make, so it's a hell of a return on a film.
Yeah, it won it got Golden Globe Award for the Best Animated Movie. It won Best Comedy at the British Film Awards and the ITV National Awards. Also a UK Nickelodeon Award for Best Movie. I did see some negative reviews, though, when I was looking.
Yeah.
There was a lot of positive ones, but I think Empire in particular was quite scathing. But I think it's a great movie. I just think that the impact, not so much on the movie, I just think the impact on The Simpsons on me, because I did grow up loving The Simpsons, and I think the first episode I ever seen was season 2, episode 16, because you needed Sky to watch it.
Yeah.
And I remember going to my auntie's, and there was a load of family there. But the bit that stuck with me, and it still sticks with me now, is it was the adults telling me to watch this cartoon. So it was the one that episode's the one where Homer buys, like the really expensive trainers, and Santa's little helper chews them up.
Yeah.
But I think it still blows my mind even now. It was adults sitting down and saying to me, "We've watched this cartoon, and now you need to sit and watch it." And I think when you're like, I was probably what, 10, 11, 12, whenever that kind of occurred. Just that idea of like, suddenly adults were into like this cartoon and we could all watch it as a family. So, obviously when the kids come along, we watched it together. Simpsons was on in our house, I think, like 6 hours a day. Yeah. Easily from when the kids come home from school. So when they went to bed, we just had back-to-back Simpsons on. And as they get older, what kind of happened was Fresh Prince of Bel-Air used to go on, Friends would go on, Modern Families in the last sort of few years. And The Simpsons has slipped down that pecking order. And I'm a good few, I'll be totally honest, good few seasons behind. A big chunk. I think the only recent one I've watched is Kevin Smith was in one. I thought, I'm going to watch that one. So it's kind of knocked out of the consciousness in our house. And I think a lot of households are probably the same.
Well, I'm going to come back to that point in a minute, but just one other thing, and I think it's, people often forget, Simpsons, the series, and Premier League football got Sky in people's homes in this country. It undoubtedly, that was their only two selling points for about 10 years, Simpsons, because there was naff all else on Sky TV apart from the Simpsons for a long time, and Premiership football. So it's like, and at some point it become like everyone we knew had Sky all of a sudden. Obviously it's a bit different now because of streaming and stuff, but you don't forget how big it was. It put Sky on the map.
I think what you've got to explain to the listeners, when we were kids, we had 4.5 channels, didn't we?
Yes.
Because then Channel 5
didn't count.
We literally only had 4. When we were kids, we had 4 channels, didn't we? So Sky came along, like say, not everyone had it straight away.
No, it took us a long time before we had
didn't have access to things like, I remember when we first got Sky, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles had just come out because it used to be on TJ Cat and the wrestling. Yeah. I just think the movie's really good. I don't know if you brought a sequel out today, it would make 500 million.
Well,
I don't know if it'd have the same
that
interest.
Brings me to the question I wanted to ask. Is like, okay, did the film bookend an end of an era of The Simpsons? So I'm just going to throw these numbers at you, numbers and dates, okay? So Simpsons movie started production, with the idea of the Simpsons movie began in 2001. Okay, at 2001, we were on season 12 of The Simpsons, probably at their worldwide peak. Do you know what I mean? They'd risen and risen. Everything from season 3 to 12 is untouchable.
Because Do the Batman was number 1 for weeks and weeks.
The first couple of series are okay, but it's season 3 onwards, 3 to 12.
Conan O'Brien.
Oh, you're absolute man. So then from 2001, we're on season 4. The first draft of the script wasn't done until 2003. And then by the time it came out in 2007, we were on in between season 18 and 19. I think what you've just done, what you've just said, it reiterates that a bit. Was it the end of an era?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Robert would have been like 8 years old when we went to see the movie. So as you start getting a little bit older, when they get into like the teens, that's when, like say, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was another one, just automatically was like popular. It was just on in our house all the time. You're probably right. I don't know. What I don't think is happening at the minute is I don't think there's a new audience finding the Simpsons.
No.
Sorry, a new audience finding the Simpsons. I know it's now on Disney, so that's probably happening. I'll be honest, I didn't check what the viewing figures are. They must still be pretty good, the fact that's being renewed.
I think just because they've got a worldwide audience still, yeah. Because what we don't take into account, it works overseas so well because they can have their own cast and their own language. That's what was massive as well.
Do you know what I think it is? I think you used to watch The Simpsons and then go into work and other people had watched it.
Yeah.
And you'd have those conversations, or, you know, I'm sure there's episodes probably we've spoke about, and I don't think those conversations happen as often. But again, there's probably some Simpsons fan sitting there now going, I watch every single episode religiously. I'm totally up to date. And those people still definitely exist. I just don't think it's in the public consciousness as much as it used to be. There's certainly no billboards. I mean, if you go in toy shops and stuff, there's not a lot of Simpsons toys, really, is there? You know,
merchandise is dropped. Yeah. One little fact I'm going to drop here, just because it made me giggle when I saw it, is when the film was originally released, and sometimes a big film, when the print go to the cinemas, they put different names on. So they released it under the name of Yellow Harvest, which is a reference to when Empire Strikes Back was released. They put it under the title Blue Harvest.
Oh, right, okay.
And then obviously Family Guy made their Star Wars rip-off called Blue Harvest, but it went out as Yellow Harvest, which I thought that's
clever.
It is quite clever. It's that time in Boxset 3 where Kenny, can you dim the lights? Thank you very much. Go do the blinds as well, mate. Cheers, thank you. So
he's a good lad, isn't he?
He's a good lad. How's Val? She okay? Yeah, good. Anti-Val. Okay then, Dave. This is your quick fire round. Dave, I'm going to give you 6 questions tonight. You got 2 seconds to answer, and I must take your first answer. Right, first question. A lard lad donut or a crusty burger?
Oh, donut.
Simpsons or Family Guy?
Simpsons.
If Simpsons were a real family in Liverpool, where would they live?
In my house.
Okay then. You must snog, marry and avoid.
Okay.
Selma Bouvier, Mrs. Kababble and Luann Van Houten. Who would you snog? Who would you marry?
I'd have to avoid Selma. You'd probably snog Miss Kababble, wouldn't you? And you'd have to marry... Who was the one? So it was
Luann.
Luann. Yeah, you'd have to marry Luann. You couldn't marry Miss Kababble, could you? She'd be a nightmare. She was cut from the movie as well.
She was, yes. Yeah. Straight off the bat, favourite character that's a non-Simpsons family member?
Mo.
Last question. Is Homer Simpson the greatest TV character ever?
Yeah.
Excellent. Just well, you chose The Simpsons this week then, wasn't it? Where can the listener watch Simpsons the movie, Dave?
Well, Disney owns absolutely everything at the minute, don't they?
They are the mammoth of streaming at the moment, aren't they?
So it's all on Disney Plus. If you've got a subscription to Disney Plus, every single episode is on there, and the movie. I've
noticed they do collections as well, so they group together themes of episodes, which I quite like as well. Every now and again I'll still dip in an old one. I tell you the truth, I actually watched one of the new series recently because I was actually reading an article in The Guardian, and the story was, is The Simpsons back? And it was referencing the new series, and it was given a bit of a, it's, they've got good writers in it. And I got about halfway through the episode, and I never finished it because it's just
not the same. No. I think the monorail episode is still one of the best 25 minutes of television.
It
Have you
is.
seen Conan O'Brien do it
Yes.
live as well?
Yeah.
Oh, I just love that episode.
It is genius. This is the part of the episode where we do what else would you like? If you liked Simpsons the movie, what else would you like? I went a little bit different this week because while I was deep diving in the cast of Simpsons, I was just sort of rooting around and I was looking at the 100 grossing animated films of all time, and it's as literally up to date as you can get it.
Okay.
And what was quite fascinating, and it's a sort of bigger question than the Simpsons movie is, but in that list there was only about 4 films pre-Toy Story. So what I'm getting at is the minute they made the computer animated film, is animated a different genre than pre-Toy Story, is what I'm saying, is because is it a genre that it's now so identified for both children and adults alike, which was never the case previously with, say, you think of all the Disney classics. I don't know, is it?
Yeah, I think there's Disney pre-89 and there's Disney post-89. I think 89 was when like Beauty and the Beast come out, where they started including more computerized elements, like, you know, if you think of the ballroom scene, which obviously never
so
got. I think there's definitely a different era of
the highest
animation.
rate, the highest grossing pre-Toy Story Disney film on there was Aladdin, but it was about 60 in Simpsons, and then it was 50, which is a hell of a crack if you think about it. So I just found it quite interesting that when you actually look at this top 100 animated films, they're all bar 4 Disney films what we assume as computer animated. I always say post Toy Story. Toy Story was a game changer.
It's Pixar, isn't it?
Yeah,
essentially it's all Pixar.
But just in Zennius, for what I'll do is I'm just going to run through. If you like Simpsons, I'm going to run through the top 10 highest grossing animated films. I'm going to start with number 10. Oh no, do you know what? I'm going to go backwards, and
Okay.
You'll see why. So number 1 is the 2019, and again you'll see how recent all of these films are. Frozen 2 banked £1.4 billion. And it's okay. Frozen 2 is okay. Me and Lily Bell watch it a lot, so I am an expert on Frozen and Frozen 2. It's okay, Frozen 2. Number 2, the Super Mario Brothers movie.
It's huge, wasn't it?
That's so far banked £1.3 billion.
And when you think, right, all the outrage about Chris Pratt being cast as Mario, and there was people going, I'm going to boycott it and all that. And I was sitting there, I remember seeing all that and thinking, no, you won't. You'll be going to see it.
That's not finished making money yet.
No, it's probably is it going to be Frozen 2, do you think?
It's only £500 million from topping it. I reckon I'll do that very soon. But I just thought that was interesting. Number 3 is Frozen on 1 point, just smidge under 1.3 billion. Frozen is an amazing film. It's absolutely fantastic. Like the soundtrack. Me and Lily Bell love that film. Number 4 is The Incredibles 2, which banked 1.1 billion. These are big money we're talking here. This is superhero genre.
Yeah.
Budget and gross money. Number 6, 2019, Toy Story 4. That banked just over £1 billion. Then we've got the 2010 Toy Story 3, banked over £1 billion. Then number 8, Despicable Me 3, 2017. That banked £1 billion. And you're like,
really?
It's a good film, but it's... do you know what? Sorry, I've missed number 5 out. Number 5, I do apologise. Minions.
Oh, Minions made more than Despicable Me.
Yeah. They're 1.1.5 billion. And then let's go back to number 9. Sorry, Finding Dory, which you mentioned before because Albert Brooks is in it. That banked over £1 billion. And this is why I went this way round instead of going from 10 to 1. Zootopia, number 10, because of the last film I mentioned last week's episode. I was shocked that banked £1 billion.
So is the only 3 non-Disney then? Is it Mario, Despicable Me and Minions? Is everything else Disney? Disney/Pixar?
Yes. Zootopia, Dory, Toy Story, Incredibles, Frozen. Yeah, they're all.
So that's
they're all
where the
Disney.
money comes to buy Star Wars, to buy Fox,
To buy Simpsons.
to buy everything.
Yes.
that you want.
I don't know. I
But
was.
to be honest though, apart from you mentioned Frozen in that list, that top 10 list, how many of them are your favourite animated movies? Because I'll be honest, I don't think any on that list are my favourite ones. Incredibles 2, sorry.
Incredibles 2 is
in my
good.
list, but the others are really good. But I would put like Aladdin, Hercules for me. Toy Story 2 is better, I think, than 3 and 4.
Yes. The one missing off there for me, and it's because a little bit again, Moana. I just love Moana. And I'm a bit not too sure about the live action remake. I feel like it is very soon for that live action remake for Moana. And The Rock is going to be in it as well.
The Rock's playing the same part, yeah.
I'm a bit like...
The only bit I don't like with that list, probably the wrong phrase, but there's no Studio Ghibli on that.
No,
and that to me is quite sad, because they should be making hundreds and hundreds.
They were in the top.
Don't.
They didn't have any. I think there was one Japanese film in the top 100. I don't know if it's Studio Ghibli.
Which, when you think of like Spirited Away and Howl's Moving Castle and stuff,
there was no.
They're just as good as every film.
There's no Aardman in that list either.
Oh, see, again, they're just as good as that list. It's the pull of Disney, isn't it? It's the pull of Pixar, and you know you're going to get something that's quality. And I think during the summer holidays, when you're looking to take kids to cinema, you know, that it's just a brand that, you know, kids can love. But Mario, I was made up with Mario was huge because it's a great film.
I just, like I said, what struck me when I was looking at the 100 is it's a different genre animated film. It's big business animated film. It's just because think about every one of them films on that list. There's toys and there's the fast food links. Do you know what I mean? You can think every time there's a film, you've got the cups and McDonald's, you've got
Games,
the toys,
obviously.
Yeah, exactly. So that's just the money made on the films. What are the franchises worth? I don't know, but there you go. So Dave, then what themes have you chose for if you liked Simpsons? What else would you like this week?
So I've gone with a couple. Then I've gone with movies or TV shows that are based on a family.
Excellent.
One I know that you'll like, Roseanne.
Yes.
Which is now called The Connors, isn't it? Since
yes.
Roseanne Barr's no longer in it. But Roseanne, when we were growing up as kids, was like one of the most genius shows. It was on around the same time as like Cheers was on, wasn't it? And
Channel 4.
Channel 4, American TV. Dinosaurs.
Oh,
basically The Simpsons, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's just The Simpsons. Everyone Loves Raymond.
Yes.
Any excuse to put that in there. Modern Family.
Yes.
Which you're watching at the minute, aren't you? I've put some like odd ones. Arrested Development.
Yes.
All about the Blue family.
Definitely. Love it.
The Incredibles I had to mention, though you mentioned it was on the list, but it's a family movie. Parenthood, which I don't think you've probably seen. Steve Martin.
No.
Keanu Reeves from The Matrix is in it as well.
Never seen The Matrix.
Jesus Christ. It's now a TV show as well. The other one I've gone with, because it's all about family, Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, good shout. Is there anyone I think you missed off that list? Flintstones?
I've got that on my next list.
Oh, okay.
So my other category is TV shows that made it into films.
Ah, I see where you're
I've
going
gone with family
this, Dave.
theme, and now I've gone in. So because The Simpsons was a TV show, that's a film. The Addams Family.
Yes.
Obviously, original black and white TV show. Then became a Tim Burton movie.
And now it's a Netflix series.
Now Wednesday's a Netflix series, yeah. The Flintstones, as you mentioned, John Goodman. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
The cartoon film is obviously in cinemas at the minute, but we know the live action version, don't we, from being kids, based on the cartoon.
Teenage Mutant Hero Turtles.
Yes,
is what
Hero
our
Turtles.
age.
God, yeah.
And he cut out all Michelangelo's nunchuckers,
No.
We had deprived childhood.
A couple of others. Remember The Equalizer with Edward Woodward?
Yes.
That's now Denzel Washington plays that role. And there's another TV version as well.
There is, yeah.
I've forgotten her name who stars in it, but there's another version of that. But as for movies anyway, Denzel Washington is now in the third Equalizer movie. They did make an 18 movie.
They did.
It was okay, wasn't it? Liam Neeson, Bradley Cooper was in it.
A cracking cast.
Yeah.
The
film just wasn't that great.
But then again, it's slightly off topic. It could be one of the conversation for another day. Is A-Team is one of them classic programs. Is actually a load of junk. But
It's the same story every week,
it's
isn't it?
awful TV show, but God, I loved it as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I had on my lunchbox when I was in school. I had an A-Team lunchbox.
The Fugitive movie with Harrison Ford was originally a long-running TV show. The X-Files had a couple of movies.
He did, yeah.
I think it was 2, wasn't it, on the back of the series. Obviously, Mission Impossible's at cinemas at the minute. That's originally a TV show. And then we've got a few that we've done podcast episodes for. The Untouchables is a movie which was originally a TV show. Serenity.
That's right, yeah.
Obviously was on the back of Firefly. We're going to be doing, in a future podcast, State of Play, which was the BBC drama that then got made into a film.
Yeah.
Superman has been a TV show back in the 50s, then a movie with Christopher Reeve and obviously Henry Cavill and all the others. Currently a TV show that's on now. And then we've got Community, which is soon to be 6 seasons of the movie.
Right, Dave, thank you very much for this week. Simpsons, the movie. Watch it if you can.
This was a Watch It If You Can production.
No!
Executive produced by Kenny, our Val's lad, on Work Experience.
Woo! Don't forget to follow, rate and share from wherever you get your podcast from. Ooh, fancy a donut now.